Well, Canadians are feeling the pressure of the rising cost of living, along with interest rates at a more than 20-year high, and it's causing some to worry about their financial security. According to a new survey by the Angus Reid Institute, in fact, half of Canadians under the age of 55 worry that they will lose their job if Canada's economy gets worse. So it's a lot of pressure to be under from all sides here. For more on the results, let's bring in Shachi Kurl, president of the Angus Reid Institute. Shachi, thanks so much for joining us, as always. These results are really interesting. Because the labor market is doing fairly well at this point, where we've been adding jobs in this country, and yet there's a real concern out there that the economy could turn and people could lose their jobs.
There's that outstanding question of, do we get out of this cost of living crisis and basically historically high inflation, or at least generationally high inflation? Is it a soft landing or a hard landing? And it is concerns about the harder end of that landing that contributes to that level of anxiety. And frankly, when everything just feels like a bit of an uphill battle, as it does for so many Canadians, identifying cost of living is the #1 issue that is most important to them, the one they're most engaged with, finding it difficult to meet your monthly needs around housing, rent, or mortgage payments, paying those grocery bills. In the back of the heads of many working age Canadians, it's, well, where does all this end? Where does all this lead to if we're in a situation where we start to see labor force shrinkage? Am I going to be on the firing line? It's a big question, quite literally, that Canadians are asking themselves and expressing concerns about.
Yeah, and you also found that in terms of having a financial rainy day fund or that sort of cushion in case there were to be an emergency, let's say someone did lose their job, the ability to prepare for that possibility is really challenged right now just because of that rising cost of living.
You know, something happens to the furnace, something happens to your car, something happens to really anything. Those one-time expenses do come out of nowhere. When you've got a situation where, you know, only 40% of the country, and again, most of those older Canadians over the age of 50, 55 say, yeah, I could handle up to or over $1,000. Whereas looking at the other end of the spectrum, 1 in 7, Jacqueline, saying, I couldn't afford anything. I am already so stretched. I'm already at the end of my limit. If I got hit with an unexpected cost of $100 or $500 or $1,000, there's just nowhere to find that. I'd have to go to friends or family. When we think about 1 in 7 Canadians, I mean, that's 1 in 7 potentially coworkers, friends, people, you know, part of your recreation or leisure leagues, your running club, your family members. It does speak again to just a level of Canadians who feel that they are living on the edge and who do not see that financial pad. It's also the reason, and here we are into February. We're into TFSA time and RSP contribution time, and lots of conversations going to be had about that as the deadline approaches, particularly for RSPs. 40% of Canadians, again, telling us there's just no cash for them to make that contribution.